Morning, happy Wednesday. So I got a question from an Instagram follower a couple of days ago asking the question on what motivates me. So this morning I'm pretty tired, so it's a good topic to talk about when I'm tired, considering most of us feel the same way at a certain point. We kind of you feel that heavy feeling, but still you have to get up and get going, do the things that need to be done. So this shouldn't be very, very long. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big talk about the topic of my personal motivation, but I'll just share a few pointers or a little bit of information. So the one YouTube video that I have posted about speaking on burnout, there are 3 people that are mentioned within that video, talking about Jesse Livermore, Bruce Lee, and then a third woman. So you can check that out if you're really interested in some more information on those 3 people. And then I'd say one of the biggest motivators for me in terms of a person is Muhammad Yunus. So he's the person that developed the Grameen Bank and microloans to the poor. So he has a very big impact in terms of the creation and running of Cellular Life Institute in terms of a sustainable business and a social enterprise or social business. So one aspect of Cellular Life Institute is the 30-day intensive trauma-sensitive yoga teacher training. That's only one aspect of my intention of what this business will end up being over the long run. There's also an internship program in the pipeline, and then private retreats and working one-on-one. So it's modeled very much along the same lines as Grameen Bank, on what Muhammad Yunus has come up with in terms of working with the poor and addressing social needs that society simply has. So for me, a lot of my motivation, having lived in third world countries and having traveled through a lot of third world countries, but also within first world countries and working within healthcare and education, is that there is simply a need for the services that I have to offer. I've recognized a very clear need within the industry, and in terms of my desire to contribute to society, I have chosen to offer the services and the skills that I have with the intention of being self-sufficient and pretty much just giving back within a sustainable way, So the question then becomes, why is Cellular Life Institute not a non-profit organization or not a non-government organization? And for me, a charity or non-profit, these organizations rely on donors. So there is often there's a lot of financial pressure in terms of getting funding. So following the concept of Muhammad Yunus with Grameen Bank, I prefer the idea of a sustainable social business in the sense that it's not necessarily a profit motivated business, but it's a non-loss motivated business, which means that all the income that is generated covers the costs of the business, and Cellular Life Institute ends up running just like any other organization or any other business does, but it addresses social and environmental needs. So when I say environmental needs, it's also very, very aware and very active within the palm oil industry, having lived on Borneo and seen the results of the palm oil industry on rainforests. I'm very much aware of the environmental situation with that. So that's another aspect that comes into the way that the things that I contribute to and the way that I run my business is very much having an awareness of environmental impact as well as human impact. So I think the motivation pretty much just comes from the fact that I'm aware that, on a practical level, I'm very much aware that the nature of humans is that we take, right? Like, we need to consume oxygen and we need to consume food in order to be alive. So regardless of what we do, from the minute that our eyes open in the morning, we are essentially consumers by nature. We take by nature. And so as far as I'm concerned, it's good citizenry. It's our responsibility as humans to try to balance those scales as much as possible and not consistently be, when we leave this world one day when we die, that we are not a net taker, but at least that we end the scales equally balanced. So, that's kind of like the serious aspect of where my motivation comes from. I'm also you know, I think Dale Carnegie is one of the people who said that true wealth is when we raise one another up, or when, you know, wealth creation is when income and benefits and skills are distributed throughout a community. It's not only for the benefit of one person. And so for me, that is very much my belief as well, in terms of sharing your skills and teaching others to take care of themselves, or teaching others the skills that you have. This raises the level of humanity as a whole. I also had a very interesting conversation recently with a man discussing the yoga industry, more specifically the yoga industry. And he was asking the question, you know, he asked me whether or not I recognize a very high level of narcissism within the yoga industry. And I did agree with this, but at the same time, I recognize that this is not necessarily what yoga was intended to be, and it's not actually yoga. This is more the consumer mindset. So I just believe that those of us that have you know, come from a social services background, or if we have skills within social services, within healthcare, education, the legal system, these, you know, these places where society pretty much relies on others, then there really is a place for support from the yoga industry, in the sense that the pressure from those environments can then be lifted a little bit, and additional support can be provided. And sorry, I just had to pause it for a little bit while a few people were walking by. So yes, these are very practical aspects. And then I think the main thing for me is that I am very creative by nature. I have very much a creative mind. I'm very practical, but I'm also very creative. And the creative part of me just loves the idea of creating something that I love, creating something that I really believe in, creating something that I know and I believe that there is a need to, you know, to be a part of something much bigger than myself. So you know, in terms of history, the great innovators really inspire me. So people like Da Vinci, Michelangelo, these people that had a vision and actually just went forward and, you know, and went and did it. Like, it's just a matter of getting up every day and knowing what you believe in, knowing what you love, knowing how you want to contribute to something bigger than yourself. It has to be, for me, it has to be bigger than myself. It has to be more than just for me, because otherwise it's just cultivating a massive a massive ego of self-importance. So it can never be that. It needs to consistently be something, you know, things that we are sharing that improves the lives of others and has an impact on others. So, you know, as we know, for the longest time, humans believed that the earth was flat until somebody taught us otherwise. But at the same time, when we have innovation and we have change and we have progress, we also have a lot of resistance. So I take my strength from people like Nelson Mandela, people like Ho Chi Minh, you know, those who had a vision, and those who had a belief that we can simply be more, or we can simply be better than we are, and they're stuck by their beliefs. So this is pretty much where I come from in terms of the things that are very important to me is social justice. Like, social justice and truth, I think, are the two foundational stones of my motivation. Is that every single thing that I do, I try to consistently come from a place of what is just and what is right and what is truthful. And so those, yeah, like, if I think about it now, those are very much my motivating factors. There's a lot of people that motivate me. I'm also very much motivated, having done my family tree and very much being someone that's intrigued by social history and genealogy. I am very much motivated by the idea that if, you know, when I finally die one day, if it's true, who knows what happens when you die, but if it's true that we meet those that have lived before us, I would like to, you know, I would like to know that the gift of life that I have been given by those that lived this life before me, and those that paved the way for me to live the life that I have, would, if not be proud of what I've done, but at least appreciate the work and the effort that I put into the gift that I have been given. So yeah, you know, it's not very complicated. I don't follow big like gurus and you know, big people in the media and things like this. I'm not very much a follower of trends. I'm very you know, I'm aware of trends, and I'm kind of aware of names that may be in the industry, but this is generally not my personality type. It's more, I tend to look more at those that have left an impact after, you know, a much bigger impact than just something that is current in social media or in the news or in the industries at the moment. So for me, people like Gandhi is very important. I was home in South Africa recently only to find that Gandhi had a very big impact in the little town that I was actually raised in. I like the idea that you know, he is very much an icon of social justice, and he is very much a part of what yoga represents. So at the end of the day, even though a lot of the work that I do comes from a social services and healthcare and education aspect, the core of, you know, the foundation of what is yoga in terms of non-violence, in terms of truthfulness, and all of the morals and ethics that are followed by yogis is very much the foundation of who I am as a person and the services that I have to offer. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope it inspires a little bit of thought for, you know, for yourself and for others in terms of who inspires you, thinking outside of the box as well. You know, I mean, of course, with healthcare and education, there are legalities involved, and you know, you can't be too far out of the box, but at the same time, the approach that I take with it being very much integrative and trying to bridge, I keep on referring to the concept of bridging East and West and integrating what cultures have to offer. There is innovation and there's growth, and this allows us to catapult and move a little bit, move forward faster in terms of human development and progress. So I hope that gives you a little bit of inspiration and answers your question on who I am as a person, and have a lovely day. Looking forward to chat again. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me at info@cellulalife.com or contact me via social media, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Cheers, have a good day.